I'm calling it avoid the climax. So in your illustration should never be the climax of any sort of event. What it should be is either an image that shows something that's happening right before the climax or something that's happened right afterwards. So, let's say a kid's running down the sidewalk and he trips, on a stick in the sidewalk and falls and skins his knee. If you were going to illustrate that in a children's book, what would you illustrate? The actual tripping part where he's like the knee is scraping on the ground, or the thing leading up to it where, the kids, you could see that he's going to hit this stick and it's going to be disastrous, or right afterwards, there's a stick, that's broken on the ground, the kid's crying. Which of those three illustrations is the most story? It has the most story power in it.
It's a great topic. I have this whole section on this on my storytelling video. When we were talking about good examples from it, is the classic Jaws poster. Big shark coming up from the water. The swimmer's not aware of the shark, but the viewer is. Mm-hmm. It is a beautiful moment of showing that right before the actual activity or action part of that sequence takes place. It's wonderful.
That's actually one of my favorite things to illustrate is when you as the illustrator bring the viewer in on information that not all the characters in the illustration know about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I noticed in the book that you just did, Will, the Bonaparte baseball book. Mm-hmm. What's it called? Bonaparte hits a home run?
Plays ball. Bonaparte plays ball.
Bonaparte plays ball. There's a shot where Bonaparte, spoiler, hits a home run, right? At the end.
Oh.
And I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot.
I know you're waiting for that to be published and come out for you to find out what actually happens. But just in that one illustration there, I remember us talking about it. The debate was, do you show the ball actually contacting the bat? Is that more powerful, or do you show the ball? The question was, is the ball about to hit the bat, or did it hit the bat? Already, and it's on its way out. And even in that split second moment, there's some decisions that can be made that can change the impact of the storytelling. Mm-hmm. So again, if you avoid the climax, or I guess the pinnacle of the spurring of the action, it's actually kind of boring to see that ball contacting the bat. That's not dynamic. Mm-hmm. What you want is he going to hit a home run, or, he hit a home run, this is awesome. Right. So that's just another example I was thinking of.
And a lot of the storytelling in that particular one was on the following page, where the people in the stands are looking up, making different facial expressions, watching the ball go out.
Yeah. That's really cool.
One thing that I like to comment on about this, playing with the moment of activity or action, is the different sounds that kind of come with it, or the different level of activity, I guess. But I like to equate it to sound, and whether something's quiet or whether something's loud. And a lot of time in my books, I think about the pacing that way. Do I want a really loud image right now? Or do I want something a little quieter? Do I need to lead up to something? And so it's kind of fun to break down those three specific scenes that a lot of times the moment right before something has a very kinetic a potential energy. There's a heightened sense of energy, but it's not a loud kind of scene, like somebody that's, say, lighting a fuse to dynamite. It's kind of pregnant with potential. And then the explosion of that piece of dynamite is very, very loud. Typically, if you're doing the action of a sequence, hitting the home run or blowing up a dynamite, it's very loud. And that moment, if I need some really loud kind of thing, I'll pick that moment. And then the aftermath is a lot of times quieter. So a bomb has exploded or the dynamite has exploded. And now, it's just the remnants of what happened afterwards. Everything's kind of torn down or whatever. And it's a quieter kind of scene then too. So depending on what moment you need or what the story needs at that time, I'll kind of play with the moment. that way.
That's cool.
Another thing that people make mistakes on in doing when you're talking about action is they'll put too many, when you're talking about sequences, they'll put too many pieces in and they're not allowing the viewer or the reader to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
So they'll what's your advice on that, Jay? Because you're more of a comic book guy. And I find that the animators are better at this than most illustrators. Most illustrators are not as natural at knowing what to leave out is just as important as what to put in.
Yeah. When you're looking at animators' work, what are you seeing that's successful there, Will?
Let's take Roadrunner. You remember the cartoon, the old cartoon, the Roadrunner? That was like to me, the perfect storytelling with action, because there were so many things left out that if you analyze it, you realize you never saw certain impacts or certain things.
Right.
You saw aftermaths and.
Mm-hmm. I think with animation, so much of it is anticipation, especially when you said the Roadrunner cartoons. You sit down to watch a Roadrunner cartoon, you know Coyote's not going to get the Roadrunner. You already know that. But you're still thinking maybe this is the one. It's because 90% of that cartoon is watching this coyote put together like these crazy plans. And it's, the camera panning along and he's hammering, you hear the hammering noise and you see all these empty crates from the Acme supply store. And finally you see this contraption, this dumb contraption that he's made. and you don't even have to like spend hardly any time of him pursuing the Roadrunner. It's just him planning and thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is like in a nutshell of what you could do with your illustrations is putting in all these little details, all these little hints, all this anticipation that lead the viewer to, ask them a question like, what do you think is going to happen? And you can put in enough hints in there that they may have a good idea of what, the next thing is, if not that they're dying to know by turning the page what the outcome is going to be. And the question isn't, what's he going after? Or, actually that's a perfectly valid, if you had a kid who's going on a bear hunt, or something like that, and he's got, his little pop gun, but he's got all this other stuff that he's put together to make a giant bear trap. And you're wondering like, maybe he's looking down the hole and he sees that the trap's been set and something has fallen in there. You're wondering, did he get a bear? Did he get a bear cub? Did he get a dragon? It's all those little details. It wouldn't be a fun illustration if you saw the thing that he got halfway falling through the hole.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't leave anything to the imagination.